What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Talking Halos. I'm your host today, Jared Timms, and I am joined alongside my co-host, my partner in crime, Nate Green. Nate, how you doing?
Doing well. Good to see you again. It's been a while.
Yeah. We had too much to talk about. We had to do a second one. We had to do a second one, a
Fair.
random Saturday podcast that comes out for you guys. But yeah, too many rumors, too much to talk about here. But first, before we get rolling here, if you haven't, go watch the one yesterday. This one will make more sense? No, it's going to probably make less sense if you do that. But yeah, go watch the one that came out yesterday on Friday, and had a lot of fun doing it, having fun talking some rumors. We got even more rumor mill, legit rumor mill, not like any of the random insider so that think they're insiders that not saying that they know things. No, this is legitimate rumors. I'm not going to spew out random crap for you guys here. I want to talk only the legitimate rumors for you guys and break them down and talk and have some fun with it. As always, if you want to follow along, play along here, I don't know, we're not really playing a game, but if you want to comment along with us, uh, go ahead and do so. I look at all the comments in the YouTube videos. I enjoy doing it. Even the one guy that gives me crap all the time. So that ever since I've been saying this hasn't been watching, so hasn't been commenting. So, but again, if you guys could go ahead and follow us on all our social medias, X, Instagram, Facebook. You can follow myself on X, Jared_Tim's Nate at Nate Green 34. Guys, give us 1 second to pay those bills. All right, let's get back on to the rumor mill, all that fun stuff that we have going on. I got a couple rumors. Do I have a couple or do I have one? I have two rumors from Jeff Fletcher, which we know is a reliable source, friend of the show. Love Jeff Fletcher. Number one, Jeff Fletcher rumor number one. The Angels showed interest in Joe Ryan at the trade deadline. Nate, remember how you were saying that I said that the Angels should buy?
Yeah.
This is what I meant by the Angels buying.
Yep.
Not necessarily Joe Ryan, but guys with multi years of availability. The Twins seem like, and there's a Twins fan that watches the show. He can correct us if we're wrong, but I feel like it sounds like the Twins are going to be moving some pieces, maybe moving some pitching this offseason. Though I feel like they always say that they're going to be trying to move pitching every offseason, and they never do. So, do you think the Angels may have a chance to land Joe Ryan, or I'm also going to throw in the mix Pablo Lopez because I heard that as well. And I'm sure the Angels, if they called on Joe Ryan, they probably talked about Pablo Lopez as well, would be my
I
guess.
don't I don't think the Angels talked about Pablo at that time because Pablo was still injured and not ready until I want to say he wasn't ready until beginning to middle of September, and with where the Angels were at, Pablo Lopez doesn't make sense.
I'm
Um
going to get a text right now as we're doing this show. It's not even out from Hot Dog saying you're
yeah.
wrong.
So I do want to here's what I'll say, and he'll probably say the same thing. That's a cute rumor, because the Angels don't have anywhere near enough to go get Joe Ryan, because Joe Ryan has been one of the better pitchers in the American League, and the Angels just don't have a good enough farm system to go get a guy like that. Um, so yeah, that's great. Like the Angels called the Pirates on Paul Skeens, like cool. Like we don't have enough to go get him, so what does it really matter? Like that's kind of where it goes for me, is like awesome, like glad that they shot big at that trade deadline, but with what you have, you're not going to go get a guy like that, unless someone, I guess unless a Zach Neto's in the trade. And does that really make you better? I don't think so. So no.
I disagree. I think the Angels would have enough to go get Joe Ryan. You'd have to be giving up significant prospects, and the Twins would want to do that as well. But I do think the Angels have enough pieces to go get a Joe Ryan. Um, Side note, there was a trade floating around social media, complete BS trade by the way, but a trade floating around social media for Tark Skubal and Dylan Dingler. I'm not saying that the Tigers would ever even think about doing that, but if the Angels can even remotely think about, not even that the Angels, if Angels fans can remotely think about trading for Tarek Skubal, I think that they have the pieces for Joe Ryan. I don't think that they're going to go get a Joe Ryan, but I do
In
think the
that
Angels
in
have
that
the
trade, they
pieces.
offered 15 players.
No,
Like
no, they
that's
have the
not going to
pieces.
happen.
I'm just saying. No,
Like
it's not going to happen. You're 100% right. All I'm saying is I would say the Angels do have the pieces to go get a Joe Ryan,
you're
and
giving up two top 100 prospects.
this is very much so a Perry Manasian thing to do is empty the farm system for a Joe Ryan type of pitcher. I would expect more of a 1 year deal on that pitcher, but it's a very Perry Manasian thing this offseason. If uh you watch yesterday's episode, you would understand what I mean by emptying the farm system because I said I think there's a chance that that happens. Perry hits panic mode in the Angels, and he empties the farm system for some players so that they can be it's above 500 team, maybe make a push for the playoffs or something like that. So this trade would make sense for me. Um, in the long run, I don't think that the Angels would do it. I wouldn't do it. Now, I'm not saying the Angels wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't do it. In the long run, though, he becomes a free agent after the 2027 season. So
He's got
you're
three
really
years of team
probably
control.
you're really probably looking at 1 year of him just because of the lockout. We'll kind of see where that is, and how that rolls around. But yes, I do think the Angels have the pieces. Do I think the Angels do it? Probably not for Joe Ryan. I do think that they trade for a starting pitcher though down the road. I don't know what starting pitchers there would be, but I do think they trade for a starting pitcher. So
That's
on to
two
the
top
next.
100 prospects for him, though.
How
That's
many?
Bremner and Johnson for sure.
Oh yeah. But like that's just those two guys plus probably two more prospects on top of that. They have the pieces to do it. That's all I'm
But
saying.
does
And
it
I'm
make you
okay.
better long term is the real
Um.
question.
So okay. Are we talking about is this regime still here in the
Well,
long term?
they're still here right now.
Okay, so if this regime is still here in the long term, yes. Yes, it does because the Angels have a lot of pitching prospects that are and it's not tough to develop pitching prospects, but pitchers tend to hit their ceiling at a higher age than what hitting prospects do. So if you were telling me the Angels were trading a bunch of hitting prospects, a Christian Moore, a Nolan Schanuel, those types of guys, not saying that Schanuel's a prospect by any means, but Christian Moore, Joshua Lugo, those types of guys, Gabriel Davalillo, then I'd be a little bit more inclined. But I would I would say if you're able to include more pitching prospects, for me, I'm okay with it because the Angels are drafting a lot of pitching prospects that tend to hit their ceiling at an older age. And with the way the Angels are pushing their prospects up at a younger age, they're not going to hit that ceiling with the Angels. Like you might get a year, maybe 2 years where, a Caden Dana is 26, 27 years old and just hitting his ceiling, right? Like right now he's 21, 22 years old. He's already now been in the league for a full year. He's got 5 more years left. We're looking at 27, 28 when he's a free agent. That's when he's really, going to be a good player, or at his best, in my opinion. So I, I'm, I'm okay if you're able to trade pitching prospects away for another pitcher, just in my
the
opinion.
the
Where does that sound
irony the
long-winded?
irony of you saying it's easy to develop pitching prospects, and the Angels spent an entire draft on pitching prospects, and there's two guys that are legitimately still on the team from that draft is a little tough.
I
Little
shouldn't
tough.
have said I
And
shouldn't have said easy. I should have said
you did though.
I know. I shouldn't have said easy. I thought
I
about it in
know.
my head too, and
I
as
know.
I was saying, I was like, easy is not the right. Easy isn't the right term. It's just it's tougher. It is easier.
Are they one pitcher away from being a playoff team is the question. I think they're two. So like if this is your only move of the offseason, it does not do anything for you. If it is on top of a Michael King signing, on top of a Dylan C signing, which I would not do, but just saying, is it on top of one of those frontline type of guys where it's like, hey, this might be a number one or a really good number two, like that kind of guy? Different story. Like totally in. You can go do it. Like, yeah, give up the farm, whatever. But if this is your only move, is hey, we got Joe Ryan, does that make the Angels a playoff team? No. And are you kind of wasting years of guys by going to go get a guy like this? Now he only has 2 years of team control, um, and you're losing Kikuchi, and you don't have those prospects to continue to take those guys' roles. I don't know. It would not be the only thing. Would be my thing.
I'll leave it at this, and you can think about it. Don't answer it. Because more for the listener, more for people watching us. When was the last time that a major league player has been traded for prospects that has worked out? Like a big package per se. Like I think about the Mookie
You
Betts
mean the
trade. I
Juan
think about
Soto
the
trade that counts for both sides?
which one Soto trade?
You could argue both.
You definitely could, and that helped definitely rebuild. But this isn't Juan Soto that we're talking about, right? I did bring up
You
Mookie
you
Betts,
didn't
who's
you
just
didn't say it couldn't be. You literally just said a big name guy that helped both sides, and it did.
it's like bringing up the Dodgers. But all right, second Jeff Fletcher rumor, which would be the Angels are interested in left-handed bats. Now, I feel like we talk about this every offseason.
Hmm.
I feel like we've every single offseason we
Yeah,
say the Angels need left-handed bats, and the Angels are like, yeah, we do need left-handed bats.
and then
And
go
it never
sign
seems to
righties.
happen. Does it ever seem to happen?
Well, they signed a switch hitter last year, I guess.
So left-handed bats, the Angels are interested in per Jeff Fletcher. I don't know how to think about this because the top three guys on the left-handed bat list per Fangraphs are very,
Bellinger.
very good, and I don't think the Angels are going to get them, which is Kyle Schwarber, Cody Bellinger, and Kyle Tucker. I'd take all of them in a heartbeat and stick them right in the middle of the lineup. With that being said, Trent Grisham is the next left-handed bat, which I know you love and I know makes a lot of sense for the Angels.
Oh,
Center fielder, left-handed bat. What other left-handed bats do you think the Angels could sign? I keep going down here a little bit more. I see
I
Mike
I
Yastrzemski
will
play center
I
field.
will take Mike Yastrzemski over Trent Grisham every day of the week. Will not cost as much as Trent Grisham. Way better track record than Trent Grisham. Won't cost a draft pick as well. I mean, you just look at Yaz from his time in San Francisco. This is from 2019 to 2025. Okay. 120 WRC plus, 158 WRC plus, 106 WRC plus, 99 WRC plus, 111 WRC plus, 106 WRC plus, 106 WRC plus. At least a 1.5 win player every single year. If I were to look at Trent Grisham's stats, does he have anything near that?
Do I need to go? Do I really need to go look?
I mean, I'll do it for you because I would guarantee you he has at least 1 year of under a 1.5 win player, and he would have at least 2 years of under a 95 WRC plus.
So, okay, Trent Grisham since 2020, a 2.4 win player, a 2.6 win player, a 1.7 win player, 1.7 win player, a zero point 0.5 win player in 2024. He got hurt that year, it looks like, and a 3.2 win
No,
player last year. We go to
the Yankees
WRC.
just stopped playing him because he was so bad.
Yeah. You go to WRC plus is definitely not as high of upside as a hitter as Yastrzemski. 2020, he was a 122 WRC plus, 104, 83, 89, 93, and then last year he was a 129 WRC plus. So um, consistent. I mean, I agree with you. I'm not like for how much Grisham's going to get paid. I'm not in on it. But there's got to be other left-handed bats that are on this list. That like for me, Cedric Mullins, perfect left-handed bat. I think he fits. I actually think that he fits the Angels mold a lot of a little swing and miss in his game, a lot of power, and actually would slot very nicely in like behind Taylor Ward, or I mean, if you want to put him in the two hole in front of Mike Trout, like I think that's not too bad either.
Isn't that
So
the same as yes?
what?
Isn't that the same as yes?
Yeah, and again, like we're both saying, somebody who we think the Angels should sign that's won't cost nearly as much as Trent Grisham, isn't going to cost a draft pick, and has a chance to be just as good as Trent Grisham because Trent
If
Grisham's
not better.
going to get overpaid. I don't know if it's going to be better than Grisham because Grisham had a very good season last year, but Grisham also flipped what he was doing. Like last year, he was a very offensive minded player. That's where a lot of his value came from. His defense went down quite a bit, and then the years prior to that, Trent Grisham was a very good defensive outfielder who didn't hit all that much. So I don't know. Like that's where I'm at with it. Like if he can put together the hitting with the defense, then he's an elite outfielder. I just don't think that's going to happen. Plus playing in New York, short porch, left-handed hitter, it kind of just all makes a lot of sense there. So, what else you got, man? I'm left-handed bats are few and far between unless you're going to go pay 20 plus million dollars for a left-handed bat. So, can you think of any in the trade market that the Angels might look to go after?
Trade market. The other guy that I was thinking would be like a Willie Castro. Maybe he could play third base for you. Switch hitter. Maybe wouldn't cost too much. He's been a hot commodity the last couple of years with Minnesota, then traded to Chicago. Had a tough stint there, but interesting guy to say the least. Can play all around the diamond. Um, I still think Ryan O'Hearn makes a little bit of sense. I know you weren't as high on him as I am, but he's been pretty freaking consistent over his last 3 years, very similar to what Jorge Soler has done.
Where is he
Uh,
playing though, is my question. That would be the only thing that I
he could
question
play a
where you
corner. He could play a corner outfield. Um,
it's that would take multiple moves though. I get what you're saying, but it would have to be after a Taylor Ward or Joe Adele type of trade, which we'll talk about here in a second. But
which honestly, though, if you are making a trade to go get a left-handed a bat, you're probably gonna have to move one of those guys anyway, because very, very hard to find a left-handed hitting third baseman. Not exactly like those guys don't exactly grow on trees. Um, you could find a left-handed hitting center fielder, but you've already mentioned four of them: Mullins, Yaz, Bellinger, and Grisham. We're not in the Bellinger sweepstakes, most likely. Grisham, we are not huge fans of, just based on like him. And then you're going to look at Cedric Mullins and Yastrzemski. Cedric Mullins is going to be a very big swing and miss guy. Like he could be a tough guy to start in general. And then Yaz, like I mean, he's been on some teams. It's been whatever. Like I think that he would make sense just because he wouldn't cost as much as everyone else. But like you still don't really know what you're getting out of him. Like he's been very consistent for the Giants, and then with the Royals, he was pretty good as well. But again, he's getting up there in age. I think he'd be 33 if I remember correctly. So that would be a little bit of a red flag for him. Um, so then, yeah, looking at the trade market, that's where I think things get even more interesting. The guys that we've mentioned in the past, Alec Thomas with Arizona, he would be a possibility just because the Angels need a center fielder. They need a guy who can hit um, left-handed. Um,
I got a couple. I mentioned them a couple episodes ago. I go straight to Detroit.
yeah, you
I
have
don't know
Colt
what the
Keith.
asking price would be, but you have a guy like Zach McKinstry. I don't know if that's a piece that the Tigers would even part way with. A Colt Keith, which seems a little more logical. That would you be able to, maybe throw a couple minor league prospects his way. Someone you like, Nolan Gorman. I know he's played a little more second base, but you could probably put him at third base. And then going back to Detroit again, Jace Jung. Can prospects, so I don't know if they'd be hugely willing to part with something like that. But the
You
fact that I'm
forgot one
mentioning
other.
three left-handed third basemen that play for the Detroit Tigers, I mean, it kind of just it makes a little bit of sense there. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense, but it makes some sense.
You
Uh,
got Brendan Donovan in St. Louis as well. So
yeah, yep. So
the and I know people are going to want Brendan Donovan. Everyone's going to be like, "Oh my gosh, he was so good." Yada yada yada. It's like, yes, he is very good, but it's gonna cost a little bit. It's not going to be someone that you can go get for relatively cheap. So I don't know. They're
I
the
think a Brennan,
left-handed,
I think a Brennan Donovan trade costs just as much as a Joe Ryan trade.
probably.
Right. Like so, at the end of the day, if you don't think the Angels can afford Joe Ryan, I don't think they're going to be able to afford Brennan Donovan. But I do, I do. I just don't know if I would do Brennan Donovan. That's just me. He's kind of on that Trent Grisham part for me, but it is
A
what it
little
is.
bit
So
better for me than Trent, um, but not like a crazy amount better. Where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm willing to give up two top 100 prospects for him. I would not give two top 100 prospects for him. He has the same amount of time left as Joe Ryan. He's got 3 years. Um, he's got some position versatility where he could play second, third. He could play the outfield if you need him to. Just not a guy that you're like super excited about. Um, 280 hitter with 10 bombs or whatever, maybe
yeah,
15. So
so
yeah, it's going to be tough. I think the left-handed bat market is going to be tough unless you can find a left-handed hitting center fielder. I think that makes the most sense. Or if you really want to I don't know. I think Detroit's such a hard place to go trade with because they are in a win now window. And they're losing Gleyber Torres.
Yeah.
So if they look at it, Colt Keith could play second or third.
Mhm.
Jung could play second or third. Um, I don't even know who else did you say from them? Just those two?
Jace Jung.
Yeah, Jung and Keith both could play second or third. McKinstry's more of a um, he's more of a utility guy than like a straight starting third baseman every single day. They have Torkelson who doesn't have to play every day. So like they're in such a win now mode that it would be really hard to go get Keith. Jung would probably be the guy that would make sense, but I guess the question would be what's the biggest hole that the Tigers would need to fill um, that the Angels could like help them out with? Like, does it make sense to go um, like I wouldn't. I guess the one guy that we haven't mentioned that I think would be, and people are going to say no, but Jaron Duran would be the other guy. He could play center field. He hits left-handed, but he's going to cost a
That's
pretty
somebody
penny
that
as
you're
well.
not going to be able to afford. Like you're going to have to throw in some pieces where fans are going to be like, "Ooh, don't know if I would have done that."
That would
So
be a Jose Soriano for him straight up.
yeah. Oh no,
That
I'd probably ask for more than that if I was the Red Sox. But that's just me. Okay, let's talk enough left-handed bats. We're going to talk about them a bunch more
mhm.
this off season because I'm sure the Angels are going to be rumored in on even more of them. Um, let's get on to the Cubs rumor. We talked a little bit about outfielders being traded to the Angels trading outfielders, Taylor Ward, Joe Adell, and Bruce Levine covers the Chicago Cubs. Did mention that the Angels like the Cubs farm system. I also like the Cubs farm system because I watched the Cubs farm system quite a bit. And two names in particular that popped up were Ben Brown and Jordan Wicks. Couple of pitchers there. I don't know if either one of those guys makes too much sense straight up for Joe Adell, but just because I wouldn't ask an arm and a leg, but I'd ask quite a bit for Joe Adell coming off close to a 40 home run season, years of controllability. He's a young player. I'd ask for quite a bit for Joe Adell, and if the Angels can find a way to improve the starting rotation with one of those two guys, plus maybe get a young third baseman or something like that in the mix. I don't know if that's the route the Cubs would go. I would think about it. I would definitely think about it for sure because I think you can go get maybe not somebody who's going to hit you 40 home runs, but I think someone who's going to produce just as much as Joe Adell on the free agent market, and he's going to cost you a little bit more. But I think you're going to be able to find somebody pretty similar to that. Ryan O'Hearn is somebody who just kind of, I know that I'm not a huge fan of him, but he could fill that void pretty easily, or a Logan O'Hoppe in right field. So, Joe Adell to the Cubs. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're also missing their number one prospect, Owen Cassie, that would fit
Yeah.
left-handed hitting corner outfielder, kind of switch Adele for Cassie, and then get a pitcher in return. But here's the issue for me with trading Adele to the Cubs. Like you mentioned Ben Brown and you mentioned Jordan Wicks as the two guys. Personally, those two guys don't move the needle for me when you're looking at the Angels rotation where we're at, right? Like you have a a guy like Jordan Wicks already and Reed Detmers, who's probably going to get a chance to be a starting pitcher. You have Kikuchi, you have Soriano, you have Detmers, and then you're going to be looking at a guy like Dana. I'm sure people will be saying Ryan Johnson. Some people might even be saying Tyler Bremner. Like, are either of those guys, Brown or Wicks, like that much better than any of the guys that I've just mentioned?
Um, I am a huge Brown fan from watching him in the
I know.
minors. I'm also a huge Jordan Wicks fan, so you're probably not asking the right guy here. I think Jordan Wicks could be a number four starter for you. I know the Angels have a lot of those. I don't think he is. I don't think he quite has the ceiling of Reed Detmers. But I did like him in the draft. Ben Brown, on the other hand, I think that he could be Jose Soriano for you. He could be a 3-win player. So yeah, I would seriously contemplate like if I don't think this would happen, but if you were offered Owen Cassie and Ben Brown, I'd probably say yes to that pretty quickly on the Angels side. Just me. So.
Even though Ben hasn't been able to put it together at the major league level,
I
he
mean, no,
is
ain't no, what we're really talking about, like what Angel has been able to put it together at the major league behind minus Zach Neto, like I'll take a chance on Ben Brown. The stuff is very good. Um, he's got a swing and miss ability. I'm that's fine with me. Yes, I'll take a chance to change of scenery there for sure. And you don't know. I mean, like Owen Cassie might not be the real deal either. So yeah, I trading a guy,
that's my
trading a
point
major
though.
leaguer. Yeah,
That's
I
my
would
exact
consider
point.
it
It's
though.
like, do any of those guys move the needle enough to make this team a playoff team? Like it, I just don't see it. Like you said, one of them is a 4 or 5 starter at best, and can the Angels have a million of those 4 or 5 stars. I think Caden Dean is a 4 or 5 starter. Um, maybe a swing guy. I don't know, but like at least he's a 4 or 5 starter. Ryan Johnson could be a 4 or 5 starter. Tyler Bremner could be a 3, 4, 5 starter. Um, they don't need to go trade for a 4 or 5 starter. Now, if you were able to trade Joe, and this is like a far-fetched, I shouldn't even say this name. Um, but if you were able to go get like a guy that could be an ace long term or something like that, where it's like, oh, hey, you went to go get Sandy Alcantara. And I know Sandy Alcantara had a bad year last year, but if you're able to go get a guy like that where it's like, hey, he's won a Cy Young, he's been really, really good. At the end of last year, he showed signs. And I don't even think that I would do that trade if I were the Angels. But if you're getting a guy where it's like, hey, this guy could take the ball every fifth day, this guy could take the ball in a playoff game, and we would have we would probably be favored in that game. Like that makes sense to me. But like going to go trade for another 4 or 5 starter when you have a guy that is coming off a really, really like a step in the right direction. He hit the ball the best he ever has. He hit the ball out of the yard. You know that he's a right fielder. When he is in right field, he has gold glove defensive upside. I just don't see making a trade for a 4 or 5 starter being worth it for me. And I really don't even think the Cubs system is that amazing to be like, oh my gosh, we have to go to the Cubs to go get something. Like, I think there are other systems that would be willing to trade for Joe Adell that have similar guys with better upside.
Yeah, I mean that's the cool thing with prospects. We can absolutely disagree on it. I would highly consider it. I'm a fan of what the Cubs system looks like and has done. So last rumor here for you happened last year. Like the left-handed hitter thing, it's already happening again this year. It was already said that Gleyber didn't want to sign with the Angels because of the win now ability, and the Angels are now already back in on Gleyber Torres again, per John Heyman. You got any thoughts on that? I'm intrigued. Can he play third base? No,
Never
second
played
baseman.
third base. He also told the Yankees that he didn't want to play third base. He said he's a second baseman. Um, I don't know. Like, could he help the Angels offensively? Sure. Can he play second base? Yes. Um, does a Christian Moore trade make sense? I could actually see them moving Christian Moore, even though people are excited about him. He made the major leagues this year, struggled a little bit, but um, I don't know. I just think that Glaber's realistic with where he wants to go. He has primarily been an East Coast guy. I know Detroit's not technically East Coast, but it is way more East than West. Um, he's been with Chicago, he's been with Detroit, and he's been with the Yankees. And I think that he will sign with a team more likely to be on the East Coast than the West Coast would be my guess. And I think that again, the Angels would have to really sign. I think you would have to sign him in late January for him to be able to sign with the Angels, and it would be like you signed Michael King, you traded for Joe Ryan, you went and got like a Cedric Mullins in center, you went to go get um a good third baseman, and it's like, oh hey, like I could see this team being competitive and potentially making a run at things, but with the roster they have right now, I don't see Gleyber Torres changing his mind on this roster.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna take a lot. So I'm sure this isn't gonna be the last time we talk about Gleyber Torres. I think he makes a lot. He makes some sense for sure. I think it's a bat in the lineup that can help this lineup out. It just depends on if Gleyber would want to come to Anaheim. So you got any final thoughts before we let everybody go, man?
We'll wait and see. I'm curious to see when the Angels, they're usually early and often. We'll see how much longer we have to wait for their first real move of the offseason. First major league signing of the offseason, or first trade of the offseason, should I say. So we're just waiting.
Yep. So, well, that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening here, Talking Halos. Go ahead and follow us on all our social medias, X, Instagram, Facebook. You can follow myself on X, Jared underscore Tim's Nate at NateGreen34. Guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Have a great rest of your day.